First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Acts, the 24th chapter. So at this point, Paul is at Caesarea, right? He's being held in the judgment hall in the presence of Felix. And after 5 days, Ananias, the high priest, descended with the elders and with a certain orator named Tertullus, who informed the governor against Paul. So they descended, meaning when you look at Jerusalem being at the high point, it's a high point, right? It's mountainous. So to get to Caesarea, even though Caesarea is north, from an altitude standpoint, they descended down. Okay. So they bring this orator, which when you go into that, he was kind of like an equivalent of a lawyer, to come and accuse Paul to the governor. It says here, a speaker or orator of a forensic orator or advocate. Now let's look up here. Forensic orator. Forensic orator is a branch of classic rhetoric focused on legal argumentation, specifically for accusation or defense in judicial settings. So they probably brought the best one they can find against Paul. And when he was called forth, Tertullus began to accuse him, saying, "Seeing that by thee we enjoy great quietness, and that very worthy deeds are done unto this nation by thy providence, we accept it always, and in all places, most noble Felix, with all thanksgiving." So he opens up flattering Felix a bit. "Oh, you're so great. You've brought peace to us. By your governance, we've been so good. Thank you. We want to start off by thanking you for that. Notwithstanding, that I be not further tedious unto thee, I pray thee that thou wouldest hear us of thy clemency a few words. So if you would be so kind as to spare us a few words, I won't be long. For we have found this man," referring to Paul, "a pestilent fellow." He's a troublemaker, a mover of sedition among all the Jews throughout the world. He's going around the world, different areas where the Jews are, and causing sedition amongst them. And a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes. This guy is he's a ringleader. He's spearheading this new sect of the Nazarenes, these believers of this Yahweh Shai that they preach rose from the dead and all of that good stuff. Who also hath gone about to profane the temple, whom we took and would have judged according to our law. But the chief captain Lysias came upon us, and with great violence took him away out of our hands, commanding his accusers to come unto thee by examining, of whom thyself mayest take knowledge of all these things, whereof we accuse him. So he's saying, look, this is what brought us here. He's a troublemaker, even to the point of profaning the temple. So we caught him and we were going to discipline him according to our law, but Lysias came and took him away from us and told him we got to come to you, told us that we got to come to you to have our matter heard. NLT, you can find out the truth of our accusations by examining him yourself. That is, examining Paul. And the Jews also assented. So they basically joined in, they chimed in, saying that these things were so. Then Paul, after that the governor had beckoned unto him to speak, answered, "Forasmuch as I know that thou hast been of many years a judge unto this nation, I do the more cheerfully answer for myself. So I'm more glad to answer, knowing that you've been judging this nation for a while, so you know how they deal. Because that thou mayest understand that there are yet but 12 days since I went up to Jerusalem for to worship." I've only been there for 12 days. And they neither found me in the temple disputing with any man, neither raising up the people. Say they claim I'm causing sedition. I didn't rise up anybody. I didn't create any mob. I didn't stir up any spirits. Neither in the synagogues nor in the city. I wasn't causing trouble in any of those places. Neither can they prove the things whereof they now accuse me. They're just throwing out accusations. They can't prove any of those. But this I confess unto thee, that after the way which they call heresy, so worship I the God of my fathers, believing all things which are written in the law and in the prophets. So the one thing I will confess is that they call it heresy, but this is what I believe. And he's about to speak concerning Yahweh Shai. And he's saying, I believe these according to what's written in our law and the writings of the prophets, and have hope toward God, which they themselves also allow. It's not illegal to have hope towards God, that there shall be a resurrection of the dead, both of the just and the unjust. So there's going to be a time when both those that have done well and those that have done wickedly would be resurrected. They would be brought back. And herein do I exercise myself, to have always a conscience void of offense toward God and toward men. So he's like, I always make sure to behave myself in a manner not to be offensive towards God or towards any man. Now, many years I came to bring alms. Salakia. Now, after many years, I came to bring alms to my nation and offerings. Because remember, that's why one of the reasons Paul came to Jerusalem. And when you read in the book of 2 Corinthians, getting to the end of it, he encourages those in Corinth to make good on their word, to also, put together some collection as the rest of the other churches of Asia Minor, or Slakia, the rest of the other churches were doing, and that Paul would bring that to the poor at Jerusalem to help them. So that's what he's referring to here. Whereupon certain Jews from Asia found me purified in the temple, neither with multitude nor with tumult. And I was doing it according to the law. I didn't bring a squad with me. I wasn't creating trouble. There was nothing of that sort going on. But when they saw me, those Jews who ought to have been here before thee and object if they had aught against me. See, you notice how they're not even present here? Because if there was anything they had against me, they could be here to object and say, no, that's not the case, or no, I was wrong, or whatever the case is. Or else let these same here say if they have found any evil doing in me. Right. So if not, let these here that are accusing me, let them state their evil, the evil that they found me guilty of, while I stood before the council. Because I went before the council. They weren't able to bring up any charges against me, except it be for this one voice that I cried standing among them, touching the resurrection of the dead. I am called in question by you this day. So it says here, except, let me actually go up a bit. NLT, ask these men here what crime the Jewish High Council found me guilty of. Except for the one time I cried out, or I shouted out, I am on trial before you today because I believe in the resurrection of the dead. Which he said that to stir them up against each other. And when Felix heard these things, having more perfect knowledge of that way, he deferred them and said, when Lysias the chief captain shall come down, I will know the uttermost of your matter. So he dismissed the case, though, for now. And it says here, at that point, Felix, who was quite familiar with the way, so Felix had heard about this, right? This teaching of Yahweh Shai, and he probably inquired a bit about it himself. So he wasn't completely, out of the loop. He was quite familiar with it. He adjourned the hearing and said, wait until Lysias, the garrison commander, arrives. Then I will decide the case. And he commanded a centurion to keep Paul and to let him have liberty, and that he should forbid none of his acquaintance to minister or to come on to him. So basically, in the meantime, keep your eyes on Paul. but give him liberty. Don't he's not in solitary. Confine him. If any in confinement, treat him like a political prisoner, right? If his friends and stuff want to bring him stuff and take care of him, let him do so. And after certain days, when Felix came with his wife, Drusilla. So after he basically called, he dismissed it for that day. After a few days, he came back with his wife Drusilla, which was a Jewess. He sent for Paul and heard him concerning the faith in Hamashiach. Now, I believe here that Drusilla either was the daughter of Agrippa. Let's see. Yeah, the daughter of Agrippa the elder, wife of Felix, the governor of Judea, a most licentious woman. So she definitely was not a keeper at home. She was out there, one of them, we outside type chicks. Anyway, it says here, so when he came, he called Paul to hear some more about this faith in Yahweh Shai. No, it doesn't mean he was an Israelite. He was just curious about it. And as he reasoned of righteousness, temperance, and judgment to come, that is, as Paul was breaking it down and going into these things, especially when he got to the judgment to come part, Felix trembled. He got shook and answered, Go thy way for this time. When I have a convenient season, I will call for thee. So, all right, that's enough. That's okay. At another time, I'll call for you, to hear some more of this. It says here, he hoped also that money should have been given him of Paul, that he might loose him. Because he himself knew Paul wasn't guilty of anything. But he was hoping that Paul would bribe him so that he would let him go. Wherefore he sent for him the oftener and communed with him. So he would often send for Paul and, listen to what Paul would say and then go back and forth and speak with him, hoping that in the more often times he would call Paul, eventually Paul would be like, hey, you know what, look, I'll pay you this amount and you just let me go. But after 2 years, Porcius Festus came into Felix's room. It does not mean that he crawled up into Felix's bedroom. The room meaning into his office. So he came to basically replace Felix. Let's say Felix's tenure was over, and so Festus came to take over. And let's go into that word room. So yeah, right. He succeeded him. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. And Felix, willing to shew the Jews a pleasure, left Paul bound. So to please the Jews, he basically, knowing Paul was innocent, he left him. He didn't free him. He didn't, he just left him as a prisoner to allow Festus to handle the case from there. And that brings us to the end of the book of Acts, the 24th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Bracha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.